Morning, everybody.
Morning.
Morning.
Shall we rise to pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For those of you who don't know the joys of belonging to a Rotary breakfast meeting, we are already half an hour into the meeting, and this is what it feels like to get up in the wintertime in the dark at 6:15 a.m. so you can go and experience the thrill of Rotary. So we are already well caffeinated, and we hope you are too. So before we go to Ukraine, we thought that you all would be interested, and they're delivering another ambulance. We thought you'd be interested in just hearing and seeing a little bit about the delivery, right?
Yeah,
So it all started thanks to great Rotary volunteers, to Jim Robinson, who drove us up to Newark Airport on 2 weeks ago. Sorry? You all can see the screen, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I
Did
thought.
you see us or did you see me?
So they can see what I'm seeing. So thank you, Jim, for taking us up there. And the original plan of getting hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of medical supplies was a real concern because of all the things that we did not want. It was being convicted of international drug smuggling. And so we had a huge duffel bag that was filled with some medical supplies that a local company donated to us, like oxygen masks and COVID tests and various other things, but nothing that was going to get us into trouble when we crossed the border. So we flew over to Frankfurt from Newark 2 weeks from tomorrow, and we had partnered with the Rotary Club of Obernburg am Main. That is right on the River Main in Germany, which doesn't look like that because there's such a drought right now that there's no water in the rivers. The River Rhine has had to stop a lot of its barges because the river's running dry. All we did was pull, this is an example of the power of Rotary, everybody. Nikolai, who's one of our wonderful members who speaks a bunch of languages, called the Rotary Club of Ohnberg, which is in the next town over from where the ambulance was being picked up, and said, could you, before we wire them a whole bunch of money, could you just make sure there really is a dealer there? And they immediately jumped on it. They went over and checked out the vehicle. They had a doctor in their club who checked it out medically. And then their club said, well, we would like to go ahead and be responsible for buying all the medical supplies. So the president of the club, Volker, picked us up at Frankfurt Airport, drove us about an hour to Obernburg am Main, and that's where some of his club members were waiting to greet us. So there's the ambulance. As one of our club members says, the Russians could have seen you coming with something that garish, but they had filled it up with thousands and thousands of dollars worth of needed medical supplies, and they even had this fantastic bag lunch ready for us.
Bag lunch and bag dinner and bag desserts and bag snacks and 500 water bottles. They fed us with the whole trip.
And so that's the ambulance before it was filled up with medical supplies. So they literally was ready to be pressed into service right away. They brought some members of their club out to send us off. And Volker, the guy that's right to your left of the Rotary wheel there, the club president, being German, absolutely insisted on following us over to the gas station and making sure the precise amount of air was in the tires and everything. And the next thing you know, we were on our way. This was an interesting dealer.
very interesting.
Go ahead, Tommy.
We had ambulances, probably about 10 or 15 additional ambulances. We had various types of armored cars. We had armored cars with bullet holes in the side of it. We had armored limousines. Essentially, if it wasn't an emergency vehicle, it had to have armor on it. That's all he sold. And he said almost 100% of it goes to the so none of it
Tommy was particularly intrigued in, what was it, an armored car or an armored?
it was an armored car that had holes that you could flip up and shoot out of, and there was a bullet hole in the side of it. And the guy was like, no, it's fine. It's you know, just got to get some new paint on it.
So you can see where Frankfurt is there, and had a long drive, extremely hot day with no air conditioning.
And no radio.
He was broke. I thought Tommy was going to go back to the airport and fly home, where there was no radio. Luckily, he had me to sing to him for the next 7 hours. And so we got to Dresden, which is, of course, it used to be in East Germany. And it was kind of amazing, some of the experiences of driving across the country, seeing, well, what would you have said, the drought? So many trees in the forest
The
are just
drought was insane.
totally dead. Huge trees, all brown, all dead, fields, all brown.
Field after field, a farm field that should be, you know, corn or wheat or anything was all just dying. It was all dry, dust everywhere. It was that.
And thousands and thousands and thousands of windmills. They are the commitment to energy creation there, not creation, but power generation is really evident. Renewable energy, thank you. So we got to Dresden. It was a kind of a tough day because of construction everywhere. Took us about 6 hours to get there, 305 miles, and we spent the night. Very, very historic city of Dresden. And then day 2 was even longer. It was a 14-hour day, 440 miles, and you can see where Dresden is way over to the left. And we drove into Poland, all the way across Poland. The entire day was just torrential rain, and it was made even more challenging by the fact that there was construction
Everywhere.
Yeah, and so it was really nerve-wracking. And so we pulled into the southern Polish town of Rzeszów there at right on the dot of midnight, wasn't it?
9:59, we made it before midnight.
And stayed in a very, very typical Polish communist era, about as most basic hotel as you could possibly
It
imagine.
reminded me a lot of my freshman year.
This was the next morning as we were walking over to grab lunch, something that you don't see every day. And I think because I think for some reason it won't go. It's too bad. Okay. Oh, there we go. It,
It's Art Day, it's National Polish Art Day. The whole country wide and events and Minneapolis and concerts
I'd say
To
that looks
try to
like a
get-
reenactment. I don't think that.
Yeah.
to
yeah.
try to get people to come out and they had free blood monitoring, they had free heart tests, they had free all sorts of tests to try to get the country out. Yeah, there was a whole big concert set.
So this is in the town of Rzeszów in southern Poland, right on the Polish border. And hey, everybody from Rotary District 764, there's a blast from the past, Harriet Primack. Hi, Governor Harriet. It's great to see you. So these two gentlemen, the one behind Tommy is Igor, and the one to the right next to me is going to be our speaker this morning, coming on in a few minutes. Igor is from the Rotary Club of Lviv in Ukraine, and they are a very old club. They go back, I think, to 1938, 33.
Yeah, so they're approaching 100 years.
Yeah. And Boris, whom you'll hear from in a little while, is the charter president of the Rotary Club of Lviv Unity, which is an international club. So they've got a lot of expats in that club. Is that where your friend from Denmark is in that club? Yep. And as you'll hear, although Boris is Ukrainian, he speaks it with an English accent because his parents escaped during the communist era, and he was actually, if not born, he certainly was brought up in England. And in a case of really poor timing, decided to move back to Ukraine a couple of years ago. So those are the people that are our contacts. Again, part of this global network of Rotary. And so this was at one of the stops on the road. And this is where Tommy, as club president, was officially handing over the keys to the ambulance to Boris. They were very generous. They awarded our club this very nice certificate, which we appreciated. Something we don't have a picture of, but some of you, we have to be a little careful about the language we use here, but some of you will remember at the outset of the war that there were Ukrainians on this little island that was guarding Odessa called Snake Island. And the Russian warship came up. It was actually the Moskva, the destroyer that ultimately the Ukrainians sunk. But if you remember the story on the news, the Russian destroyer sent a message in Russian to these Ukrainian soldiers guarding the island saying, "This is Russian warship Moskva, we are ordering you to surrender." And the response came back from the Ukrainians, "Russian warship Moskva, go F yourself." And the sad news is they were shelled into oblivion. But that became the rallying cry for Ukrainians to this day. So they gave Tommy and I hope you can see this, pair of socks with a picture of a Russian warship. And you see that?
You got the classroom background. Right?
That's
Just hold it over here.
there. How's that? Oh, there you go. And so in Russian, pass them around, it shows a picture of a warship, and in Ukrainian it says Russian warship, go F yourself. So that's a keeper. That's something you can't pick up at Amazon, We don't ever want to forget that part of Rotary's remit and gift to the world is to be peacemakers. And so we donated $1,000 to the Rotary Foundation Peace Centers program in the name of the Ukrainian president. Amazingly, nobody has made him a Congress fellow until now. And so they are going to get that to the presidential palace and have it presented to him. This is Igor admiring the sign that was on the ambulance in both Ukrainian and English, of course, and that'll be there forever. And this is a very common way, whereas in the US we tend to do thumbs up, they tend to do the two-finger salute, although being from England, I just warn you, be careful how you do that, because two fingers one way means one thing, two fingers another way is likely to get you shot. But that is Boris giving his equivalent of thumbs up. So where you see this symbol, Shemish, right here, right on the border, is where we turned over the ambulance. And it went overnight to Lviv. And then Ukraine is the second biggest country in Europe by land area. And so then the next day, there are members of the Rotary Club of Ukraine Unity receiving it in Lviv. And the next day, it was driven all the way across country through Kiev, all the way to Kharkiv, that you can see right here. And that is the second most bombed city in Ukraine. The things that have happened there at the hands of the Russians have been indescribably awful. So there's a nurse unpacking the medical supplies that we delivered. And literally, as we were flying home on the Tuesday, a week from yesterday, it was already being put into service. This is why it's so desperately needed in Kharkiv, right? That's an apartment building that had just been shelled. That's the children's hospital that had been shelled. That's what's remaining of the children's hospital in Kharkiv. And so, again, I'm doing a little talking. I don't need to, Tommy, jump right in. But that's just our way of showing you whether you gave $25 like that little boy in Cherry Hill who heard about us and wanted to take money out of his piggy bank, or whether you gave $1,000, or in the case of one tiny little 4-person Rotary Club, $5,000. Every penny was put to such good use. And Tommy and I, on the way back, said, well, you know, what can we do? We can't just say, all right, been there, done that, got the t-shirt or got the pair of socks. And so we would like to get a second ambulance in October, and we're applying through the Rotary Foundation for a disaster grant to see maybe if we could even get a third ambulance by the end of the year. So over to you, and over to you at home. What questions do you have?
I just wanted one more time to say thank you so much for all the help. I want to really drive home the fact that they told us that 2 ambulances is better than 1 ambulance packed with a deal with 3 ambulances is better than 2 ambulances, even if the 3 are falling apart. They need as many vehicles as they can to get from point A to point B. They were beyond grateful and thankful. You could tell that this wasn't just something they took lightly. They also let us know that anything else they're looking for: water supplies, water purification tablets, life straws, anything like that is a big deal to them right now too. So if your clubs are trying to think about what you might be able to do to help, just a box of water purification tablets or anything like that will go a long way. They're also looking for regular sanitary supplies and just anything you can think of. None of it will go to waste. So any help that we can give the Rotary network that we tapped into to get from point A to point B was unbelievably helpful all around the world. So once again, I just want to say thank you so much, and I guess let's get the second one.
Amen to that. So please keep this project in your prayers, and please keep it at the forefront of your giving plan. Again, not a dime of donated money went to pay travel expenses. We bore that personally. And so does anybody, actually, before we open it up at home, here's Boris. So let's have him introduced. So Boris Bodnar is ready for his afternoon cocktail because it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon in Ukraine. So welcome, Boris, from rainy Medford, New Jersey. And everybody, Boris is a charter president of the Rotary Club of the Rotary Club of Lviv Unity. All right, why don't you take back as the host?
Hi. Yeah, just about. Hello, David. Hello, Tommy.
Hi, Boris. Nice to see you again.
Great to see you guys too. I've seen a little bit of the story that David and Tommy showed you about their trip, and all I can say is that for one, it was amazingly refreshing and fulfilling to meet you and to receive the ambulance handed on through the hands of Rotary to Kharkiv, where it's in active use, and was in active use very quickly after it was delivered. It's hard to express our gratitude for what you're doing. You know very well it's very necessary and very needed, and being able to share your good work with our friends around Ukraine in such an amazing way is just moving, very moving. And again, and also, I took the liberty of inviting Ihor. I don't know if you managed to join, but also to add Hennady Kroichuk, who's our past district governor, who I think David and Hennady know each other from way back.
Hello, friends.
And just to say how amazing the world of Rotary is, that we can develop these relationships so quickly and so effectively and produce such great results at such short notice. So we're here in Ukraine. I think we've started a relationship which will last for many years to come, and we so greatly appreciate all the help that you're providing. Let me just ask Hennady and maybe you to say one or two words from their perspective too. Hennady, скажи пару слов.
Thank you very much, friends. It was very happy for me to assist Boris and Igor in preparing these ambulances and for sending it to the east. Unfortunately, I now was on the way from the storage where we work with humanitarian aid, and I'm only a few minutes at home. What I plan to do to show you, David, your book with your signature that you gave me in 2015 in San Diego at International Assembly. But now I'm only a minute in a home. Nevertheless, it is very nice to see how close is Rotary world and how many good things could we do together. And your assistance, of course, is very valuable. And it was my pleasure to participate a bit in this case. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hennady. Ihor, скажешь два слова? Hi, can you still hear us over there?
Yeah, we can hear you.
You're very faint.
Yeah, we had to step away from the computer because we couldn't get it to work on the TV. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can now. Yeah.
So
ask if any of our supporters have questions of.
does anybody have any questions that they have? Let's see, Igor's there. So what? How long after we handed it over to you did it make it?
So we when we collected the ambulance from you, we drove it straight back to Lviv. We were back in Lviv within a couple of hours, the same day. The following day, a guy came up by train from Kharkiv, and he drove back to Kyiv straight away the same day, stayed overnight in Kyiv, and the following day was in Kharkiv. And as you saw in the photographs, the ambulance was put to immediate use. The supplies were distributed. You saw the picture of the nurse distributing the supplies. One of our good friends, Yusuf, who's a member of Rotary in Kharkiv, was behind the wheel distributing things around Kharkiv. and so it was immediately put to good use. Yeah, I mean, amazing. Everything worked so smoothly, and you even managed to get your train in time, which I thought was cutting it a bit fine. I like the story, David. If I could share the story with David, when I asked him whether they made the train okay, he said, "Yeah, we had 2 minutes to spare, so we could have stayed in the restaurant for a dessert."
Yeah, we ordered the food, and then the waitress said, "You have a train to make? Yeah, you don't want to order that."
I have a question. Who has the ambulance now? Is it assigned to a hospital, or who's actually responsible for it?
It's assigned to the regional hospital in Kharkiv. So we'll ask our guys to follow up and see how it's being used by the medics in Kharkiv, and maybe if it's possible to share some further photographs with you of it actually being used by the medics themselves.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Great.
When you were speaking about potentially trying to get another one, will you liaise with the club in near Frankfurt that you worked with before? I know that ambulances are in very short supply now around Europe, so we have people.
I actually just talked to him yesterday. He mentioned that he reached out to his friend who's involved in the Red Cross, and the Red Cross has a couple that they're about to retire in Germany. So we might be able to get an even nicer one for around the same price.
That's great. I mean, if they have more, then let us know, because we have a need for there's a kind of a queue and waiting list for them. So if there are more available, we're definitely in the market for them.
Sure. Can you tell us a little bit about, you mentioned when we were there that the two of you have helped bring a number of vehicles over. Can you tell us a little bit about the other vehicles you brought?
Well, it's a variety. We had a couple only a few days before you guys came over. We had a couple of ambulances that were delivered on the back of a lorry from Latvia, which I helped with. One went directly onto I can't remember exactly where, maybe Dnipro, and then the second one stayed until the following day, and I transferred it to the site where we held your ambulance, and then somebody came over by train again from Zaporizhia, and took it and drove it to Zaporizhia a couple of days later. We've had lots of other vehicles. Ihor and Hennadi's club have worked with one of their club members, and they've brought in, I think, probably easily over 50 vehicles of various types, transporters, jeeps, pickups, that have gone primarily to the armed forces. We brought over a couple of vehicles. We've got one coming in this weekend from England. That will be the second one from England. I helped bring one over from Paris earlier on in the war. So there's a variety of things that we're doing. We as a district, we're also looking at fire trucks, equipment like fire ladders, which are in very short supply here. Properly long ladders that can reach up into very high areas, so we brought numerous fire trucks, ambulances, various other vehicles over from Europe mainly, and we're continuing to do that as a program because of the the needs for those kind of vehicles here.
Well, we have a member of our club, Boris, who's part of the fire company here in town. And I know he has keys to one of their fire trucks. So we'll see if we can't get him drunk and grab those keys and bring you a fire engine.
Well, if you don't make it, you can send him over here and we'll do it for you. But on a serious point, the vehicles are one thing, but equipment again is something else. And if they're able to share with us various types of equipment, whether it's protective clothing or power cutting equipment or other firefighting equipment that they may be retiring, that may be still useful, then that would be very helpful as well. Very helpful indeed.
So is that the type of stuff you're looking for aside from vehicles? Is
Yeah,
life-saving equipment, stuff like that?
yeah, definitely, yeah. Definitely, and particularly because it's logistically getting stuff over from the US is a bit of a tough call.
Sure.
It's easy to see where, like you did, you picked up an ambulance in Europe, and it was easy to drive it to the Ukrainian border. Getting equipment over, vehicles over from the US, unless you can find a logistics route which is quick and cheap, which is a bit of a challenge, then it kind of makes more sense to look for the larger pieces of equipment like fire trucks and vehicles, etc., and somewhere in Europe.
Right.
Anybody else have questions from home?
Are there any other questions from home?
So far as David Legg, who was the one that asked you the question, he, for as long as I can remember, has been our main district champion for clean, safe drinking water and sanitation. So certainly Dave is somebody after we're finished here that we can talk to see if maybe he has some kind of a connection to get water purification tablets that Tommy was talking about.
Yeah, we just David, for the other David, very briefly, we're running a Ukraine wash group, which is also working together with an international wash group for Ukraine, which consists of various people from various Rotary wash programs, Wash Rag, Hand Wash, some of the UK units that produce filters, so Water Survival Box, Aqua Box, and other units of Rotary that help us with, for example, logistics. We recently received from Ireland a consignment of Aqua Tabs water purification tablets and various other things. And we're also looking at larger programs to install larger filters which can give clean water for thousands or tens of thousands of people, which obviously requires more funding. But on the other hand, we have Ukrainian manufacturers of filters that can be done and installed very quickly here with the right funding. We did a three-way disaster response fund grant with 3 districts and raised $75,000 so that we could install that kind of equipment in Mykolaiv, city in the south where the water need is very acute, and therefore hopefully that's been signed off, I think in the course of being signed off by the foundation, so that we can go ahead and have those installed in Mykolaiv, which will give probably something like 5,000 to 10,000 people a day clean water. Right,
that's a big issue. Of course, our prayers are with you folks over there that are dealing with these issues. And I'm familiar with WASH, a member of WASH, and done some work with them. And so we'll investigate on our end and see what we can come up with, some tablets or something. And are those available there to purchase, or is the supplies limited? We use a guy, Jeremy, can't remember his surname, who has a company called Business Connect. And they have supplies of tablets, but also work with Aqua Tabs in Ireland. And they've already provided us a consignment recently. There's going to be another one coming fairly soon too. So there are lots of different people with lots of different skill sets involved in them. Right.
Well, I guess my final thoughts are just to say to people again, to echo what Tommy said, to say thank you. If you feel in your heart that you'd like to be a part of the solution and help us get that second ambulance, just go to the MedfordSunriseRotary.com website and click on the tab to donate. We really appreciate that in advance. Or what? Or our Facebook page. Thank you, Medford Sunrise Rotary. And again, you know, every one of us watches TV every night and we shake our heads and we say, that's dreadful what's going on there. But I'm just one person. What can I do? And I think you have your answer today. Every one of us can be a part of the problem by just doing nothing, or we can be a part of the solution. So thank you, Boris. We couldn't have done it without you. You're in our prayers for your safety and for what you do every day. And we hope to be a long-term partner with you and everybody that's on the call now. Tommy, I'll leave you to close it up.
Yeah, so I just want to once again say thank you to everybody. To please let us know if you're interested in helping at all. We'll put you in contact with the people if we can't do anything ourselves. And we we're well on our way to getting that second one. So we'll be back in touch with Boris shortly, I hope.
Hey, Tom.
What's that?
The website was off. It's .org, not .com.
It's .org.
MedfordSunriseRotary.org. Any other comments before we close it down? Anybody? No? 1 second. Okay, we're hanging on. What are we? Yeah, that's what I was.
Yeah.
Hang on, we got another one. I just came back. I need this iPhone. What?
Okay, we'll
All
send
right.
you a recording later today of the call in case you want to share it with your club.
Yep.
And Chris was suggesting, go ahead.
So we're gonna end the meeting with the four-way test as we do every other meeting. So feel free to unmute yourself and chime in. Is it the truth? Is it fair? to all
All
concerned?
concerned. Goodwill and better friendships.
It would be beneficial to all concerned.